We begin today at the Gemara on the bottom of Daf Pei Dalet Amud Beis, Tanu Rabbanan. So again, before we learn the Gemara inside, just to review quickly what we learned earlier here. There's a case of a person that gave a get, and he tells his wife that she's not going to be mutter to everybody. And there's two ways how he could say this. Either he tells her that you're divorced and you're mutter to the whole world, al menas, with the condition that you don't marry so-and-so. So that's a condition. That was one way how to learn this Inyan, and there was a machlokes between the Chachamim and Rabbi Eliezer whether she's divorced or not. But then there's another way that the person can tell his wife that I'm giving you this get which will be mat to you to the whole world, but chutz, not a condition, but he's actually leaving out. He's saying that the get is not going to be mat to you to everyone because for Pliny, the Isser of Eishes Ish will still be in effect. Those were the two Efanim that we learned before about the machlokes of the Tanakam and the Chachamim. And the Gemara there said, or the Mishnah at the beginning of the Perek here said, if you write this chutz, the Mishnah in the beginning of the Perek, the Gemara said, is talking about the case of chutz. If you write the chutz into the get itself, so then the get is possible. You can't use that get again. You can't take it back and use it again. The get becomes totally possible. That's what it said in the Mishnah. If you said that chutz verbally, so then, and you gave her the get, saying verbally that you're not mutter to everyone, so then you just have to clarify again, or you take back the get, that is, you take back the get and give it again and clarify that she's totally mutter. But if it was written in the get, then the Mishnah said you can't use the get anymore. And that's just the Hagdama here for what the Gemara is going to say. So Tana Rabbanan we learned in the Braisa, call atnoyim paislim beget. Any condition that's written into a get, it's not just a verbal, but it's written inside the get, it will passel the get. Divrei Rebbe, this is the opinion of Rebbe. So Rashi's understanding of this Gemara here is that's even a t'nai that was written into the get, and the t'nai was fulfilled. So if the t'nai was fulfilled, she should be divorced and everything should be perfect. But Rebbe says if the t'nai is written into the get, then the get is passel. Now obviously, minatayra, there's no problem, but this is a gzeira midrabanan, and the gzeira is based on this concept of chutz. Once you're saying a condition, you could end up saying chutz instead of a condition, and therefore you end up making the whole get possible. So therefore the Wagaiz that if you write in any kind of condition in a get, the get should be possible. It's Rashi's pshat. Taisus disagrees with this. Taisus says that there's no reason to make such a far gzeira for any tanai to be possible in a get, just because of this case of chutz. Taisus learns the Gemara here speaking about a case where the person wrote the Tanai in a get and the Tanai was not fulfilled. And the Gemara is talking about that the Tanai was written into the get and then they erased the Tanai and the Tanai was not fulfilled because it was erased. Over there, Chachamim will graze that the get should be possible. That's Taisus' pshat. Okay, but let's continue on the Gemara learning with Rashi's pshat that this was a gzeira for any Tanai written in a get, even if you fulfill the Tanai. The Chachamim say, no, we're not graze so far. Anything that you say verbally when you give the get, so then paisel b'ksav. That will passel the get as well if you write it into the get. But anything that if you say it verbally, it will not passel this get, so then ain't a paisel b'ksav. There's no gzeira here, it's not going to passel the get when you write it. So therefore, chotz shepaisel al peh. If a person tells his wife that you're mutter to everyone besides, he's leaving out that there's a certain isser of issues that remains for that person. So since that passels it when you say it bal peh, so therefore paisel b'chsav. If you write that into the get, it passels the get. You can't use the get again. Almenas, but if you use the term of almenas, she'ena paisel al peh, it does not passel it if it's said verbally. So therefore, it does not passel b'chsav either. Almanas, according to the version, the way the Gemara explained before, the Mishnah at the beginning of the Perek, when you say almanas, it's a condition. A condition, even this condition is okay. It doesn't passel it. So too, if you write it into the get, there's no gzeira here, and the get will still be kosher. That's the Braisa. Here, the Gemara is going to bring two different understandings of when this machlokes here in the Braisa is. So Rab Zeire says, Machlokes, the argument of Rebbe and the Chachamim regarding writing a condition into a get, whether Chachamim were geyser, that it's possible or not, that's only Lifnei HaTeiref. If you wrote this condition into the get, before you write the main things or the main points of the get, right? The Teiref is the names, the date, and the main points of the get. The Rebbe says, Gazrin al Manas atul chutz. That there's a gzeira, that even if you're just writing a condition, which should be fine, but we're geyser that should not be good because of chutz. He might write before the Taita of Chutz, and if before you even write the entire get, you write in that this whole get is being written, Chutz, that you're not going to be mutter to everyone, so it passes the whole get Menat Taita. So therefore, Chacham V'Geizer that Almanas should also be passel. Rabbanan Savi like is in Almanas al Chutz. Rabbanan say, no, Chacham will not Geizer when you write a condition that it should be passel because you may come to write Chutz. But if the case here is that he wrote a condition after you finish writing the entire get, so the entire get was written properly and there was no condition or chutz that was written before. Now after the Taita, if you come and you write Almanas, in such a case, Divrei Kol kosher. Everybody would agree that if you write Almanas after the Taita, it would be kosher. Right? Now if you write chutz after the Taita, midrabanan, there's excited that it should be possible. So, but Almanas, to go so far to make a gzeira to say that the whole chutz, writing it after you already wrote the get properly, is really menatayra kosher. So to say that they were geyser that even if you write Almanas, which is just a condition, that should also be kosher, no, that it doesn't go so far. Everybody would agree that over there, it should be possible. That is, over there, we're not geyser that it's possible. Everybody holds it's kosher. Now going back to the Mishnah in the beginning of the Pedic, that's what the Gemara focuses on now. Again, so what did it say in the Mishnah in the beginning of the Pedic? When you write chutz into the get, it passes the get. You can't use it again. So masnis and diktani kosvai, the Mishnah that says that if you write a get and vaikim no b'chutz, in the beginning of the Pedic, it explained that the Mishnah there is talking about a case where a person wrote into the get, you divorced everybody besides for so and so. Almanas, but from that we understand that the Mishnah in the beginning of the Pedic holds that if you write into the get almanas, not a chutz, but just a condition, loy pasel, doesn't pasel the get. So according to which opinion of the Brais here, Rebbe or Chachamim, is the Mishnah there going? So now, according to Reb Zayda's interpretation, we could say as follows. If you want, you could say that the Mishnah there was speaking about that he wrote the word chutz before he wrote the whole get. So therefore, even the Rabbanan will agree that this get is possible. If you want, you could say that he wrote chutz after he wrote the whole get. He wrote then in the bottom, he wrote into the get this condition, and v'divrei akel. And then everybody will agree. Everybody will agree that this get is going to be possible. Okay, sorry. Let me just explain this one more time. I'm going to have to go back here to the Ibai Sema here because the Gemara is trying to explain regarding the Almanas. If you wrote in the Almanas, right? So it said regarding the Almanas that it's not possible. Gemara is not focusing on when he wrote the chutz, when it is possible. So Ibai Sema lifnei tairif, you wrote a condition before the tairif. And why is it not possible? Rabbanan. Because the Rabbanan say that in the case where he writes Almanas, so then we're not geyser. We're not geyser that it's similar to chutz and it's not possible. Or you could say the case over here is that he wrote this condition after the tairif, and over there, even Rabbi agrees that you're not geyser once it's after the tairif. It's too far to be geyser over there to say that it was possible. This is all Reb Zayda's pshat. Rav Amar, however, Rav says, Machlaikes la'achat tairif. Now the whole argument we just had here, in the Braisa between Rebbe and the Chachamim, if you write a condition into the get, the argument is, even in the case that it's written after the get. The Rebbe says, Gazrinon atu lifnei tairif. We're geyser if you write this condition after the tairif of the get, that you may come to write it before the tairif of the get. That's how far the gzeira goes. Even though really, Minat Taira, writing this condition before the Tairif is also kosher, and ultimately the whole Gzeira is only because you may come to write chutz. But according to Rava, the Gzeira goes so far that we say that if you write it after the Tairif, it's still going to be possible. The Rabbanan Savri, however, the Rabbanan say, Lo Gazrinan atu lifnei Tairif. We're not going to be geyser. If you write this condition after the Tairif of the get, we're not geyser that you may write it before. Because the whole issur of writing it after is it's going to be a gzeira. That's what it comes out, because you're just writing a condition, number one, and number two, you're only writing it after the get. So in such a case, we're not going to be geyser so far. But if you wrote a condition into the get before you wrote the whole get, before the tairif, divrei kol pasal. There, everybody will agree that the get will be pasal. So now, if so, according to Rav's pshat, going back to the Mishnah in the beginning of the Pedic, the Mishnah that said that he wrote the get, and he wrote into the get not a condition, but he wrote into the get chutz. And the Mishnah is saying, because you wrote into the get chutz, Therefore, it's not a good get. Aval. So it's mashma from the Mishnah, al menas, that if you write into the get, not a chutz, not that you're saying that there's some issues that's still left over, but you're just writing a condition, loy pasul. A condition is not going to pasul it. Where is it talking about? Where are we saying that if you write a condition, it's not going to be pasul? La'achar ha-tayrif. So that Mishnah must be speaking about it if you wrote it after the tayrif v'rabbanani. And it's going according to the Rabbanan. Because according to the Rav is much more machmer. Rav says if you write a condition before you write the whole get, everybody agrees. Even Rebbe agrees that it's a problem. It's only if you wrote it after the tayrif that the Rabbanan will say that the get will be kosher. Okay, so we're having here this discussion about adding a line into the get, whether chutz, whether almanas. So, I mean, b'payil, the halach in Shulchan Aruch is when you write a get, you're not allowed to add anything into a get. Even though minat Torah, you could add any condition you want, but b'payil, the halach, the minig is when you write a get, you write the 12 lines in the get, and you can't add anything else into the get. Tani Avud, Rab Avin, Kamei, Rab Zera. The father of Rab Avin was teaching in front of Rab Zera, and he read a brayse that said as follows: Kosav get al tenai, you write a get with a condition in it. Divrei hakoil, pasul. Everybody agrees that this get will be pasul. Now this is in front of Rab Zera, right? So we had before Rabban and Rab Zera, so this was read in front of Rab Zera. So the question is, Divrei hakoil pasul? You're saying that everybody will agree that the get is pasul, but v'hal miflik pligi. But there was an argument about this, whether if you write a condition into the get, whether it'll be pasul or not. And according to Rab Zera, even if you write that condition before you wrote the get, even in that case, it's a machlokes of Rebbe and the Rabbanan. You can't say everybody holds it's pasul. Ella, says the Gemara, according to Rab Zera, Ella eimel divrei hakol kosher. You're going to have to say that really what the Brisa said is that you wrote a condition into the get, and it's possible that everybody will agree that it's kosher. Now, v'hechi dami, when is that? If you write a tanai into the get that it's kosher. La'achar ha'toyrev, like Rab Zera explained before, if it's written after you wrote the get and then you add a condition, so according to Rab Zera's interpretation, both Rebbe and the Rabbanan will say that it's kosher. So the Gemara asks on this, why did we change this brayse instead of reading Divrei HaKol Pasul to that it must have said Divrei HaKol Kosher? V'leime, instead we should switch differently. We should say Harei Zeh Pasul. Take out the Divrei HaKol and just say Harei Zeh and V'Rebbe, and it's going according to Rebbe. So instead of switching, it seems like switching from pasul to kosher is a much bigger change than switching from divrei hakoil to just switch harei zeh, that there's one opinion that says that it's pasul, and that goes according to Rebbe if you write it before the get. So the Gemara explains that Tane divrei hakoil asnei, that again kosher bepasul mechleflei. Just a second. Tana divrei hakoil asnei kosher bepasul mechlef mechleflei harei zeh bedivrei hakoil mechleflei. Okay, so I think the answer of the Gemara starts by kosher bepasul. What the Gemara is saying is the reason why we're switching it from kosher to pasul is because it is possible to forget the actual halacha, to make a mistake and switch from pasul to kosher. And therefore, that's what must have happened here. But harei zeh b'divrei hakoil, to say that the one that taught this brayse switched the words of harei zeh with the words of divrei hakoil, le mechleflei. That kind of a switch will not happen. The words divrei hakoil are unique. When you say over a halacha and you're saying divrei hakoil, everybody agrees to this, that's something that's unique. And that's something that will not be forgotten. It won't be a mistake over here. So therefore, when you have to switch the words of the brayse, we switch the halacha of kosher versus pasul. You have so many halachas in Torah that say kosher, pasul, that you could confuse. But the words divrei hakoil, that was meduyik in the brayse, so we don't want to switch that with that word.
Question: is the word tarif, is that referring to the things we were learning the other day that were like eating treif?
No, nothing to do. This is a different word. Tairif is spelled with a taf and has nothing to do with treif. Tairif is the main points of the get. Tairif means what exposes the main points of the get. A person tells his wife he's giving her the get and she's mutter to everyone. And what is his condition? Elo but la'aba o la'avicha, to my father, to your father, you're not mutter to get married to. La'achi u la'achicha, to my brother, to your brother, you're not mutter to get married to. Le'eved, Eloiv kechavim, to an Eved Kanani or to a guy, you're not mutter to get married to. Or Ulachal Misha'ain La Olav Kedushin. He's telling her that the divorce is excluding anybody that anyways no Kedushin would take effect. So then kosher, the get is kosher, because the t'nai that he made there hasn't done anything. She's anyways also to those individuals. So the get is kosher. But however, if he tells her, Hareyat muteres l'chol adam, you're mutter to everyone, but here, and he says, except for the following individuals, that the issues, the Isser of Eishes is still in effect. Ella almana l'kohen gadol. But if she was an almana from before already, from another marriage, and now he's telling her, to this kohen gadol, you can't marry. Or a grusha v'chalutza l'kohen hedyet. If she was a grusha and a chalutza from before, she won't be able to marry a kohen hedyet. Mamzeres and Nesina Yisrael, or if she was a Mamzeres or a Nesina, which is from a certain nation that was Megayed and is also to marry into Klal Yisrael. So, or a Bas Yisrael, a Mamzer, or a Nosen, or he's telling her, she's a regular Bas Yisrael, and he's telling her that you're divorced, but besides to this Mamzer and Nosen that you can't marry. Or v'chol mi sheyesh olav kedushin, or anybody la olav kedushin, or for anybody that kedushin does take effect. So here in this case, the Mishnah is speaking about different scenarios where there is an issa for her to get married to these people. But if she does get married, the kedushin does take effect, and the husband, I feel about veda. All right, so it's an aveda, it's an issa, it's a lav, or it's a issa rasei, but it's kedushin takes effect, and he tells her that you're divorced, but not for those people. So for those people, you're still an eishes ish, that the kedushin should not take effect. So then pasul, this get is pasul, because it comes out that you're leaving over some issues in this marriage which has a certain effect. That now it's because you're leaving over, so the kedushin will not take effect for those people. Now, just to go back a second, when the Mishnah said the case of almana l'kohen gadol and grusha chalutza l'kohen hedyet, the Rishonim have a problem with this, because either way she will not be able to marry this kohen gadol because she's a grusha. Even if the husband over here says that you're a grusha for everybody, but not for this kohen gadol. So you would think that she's not a grusha for this kohen gadol, but it doesn't work that way. Once there's a tzad grusha on this issue for everyone else, she's anyways also to marry this kohen gadol. So what is he telling her when he says to her chutz? And he's telling her that because you're an almana, he's telling it to a woman that's an almana from beforehand to this kohen gadol. What's the meaning of that? She's anyways now becoming a grusha. So the Rishonim say that it's only brought in the Mishnah here derech hagav. It's not really the main part of the Mishnah. Okay, let's see what the Gemara says. Like the Gemara klala dereisha. The reisha of the Mishnah doesn't just say certain cases, but it also adds a klal. It says l'chol mi she'ein olav kedushin, that if the husband is excluding anybody that there's no kedushin. Lasuye, what is that coming to add? What are the cases? Shar chayav krisis. If he's telling her that she's still going to be a eishes ish in relation to any other arayis or derachayiv krisis. So over there's nothing. He's not leaving anything over in this get, because those chayiv krisis she was anyways completely asatu, and there was no kedushin possible for them anyways. Now, klala the Seifa, and the Seifa as well, the Mishnah gives a few examples, but then it finishes off, v'chol mi sheyesh olav kedushin. What is that coming to add? Lasu yishar chayv elav. There's other scenarios of people that are asa to her with a chi of lav, kagain amayni or mayavi, from the people of Ammon and Mayavi, not allowed to marry, or Nesini, from the Nesinim, which comes from the 7 nations of the Goyim and Eretz Yisrael. And they were Megayah, and then you're not allowed to marry them. Or Mitzri v'Adoimi, a Mitzri and a Doimi, which is actually only an Isser of an Essa, that the first 3 generations you're not allowed to marry them. So in those cases, there's an Isser, but the Kedushin takes effect. So if he tells her besides those people, so now he's saying that there's still issues, that for them Kedushin should not take effect. So that means that you're leaving over something here in the issues of this marriage. It's significant, and therefore the get does not take effect. Rav asks Rav Nachman the following shaila regarding this concept. When a person gives his wife a get, then he leaves over, he says, for so and so, the issues is still here. But what did he say? Chutz mikidushe katan. That besides if there's a cotton that's makadosh you, so then for him the kedushin can't take effect because he's still a eishes ish regarding this cotton. So mahu, is that considered to be leaving over in anything in this get? What's the question? Do we say hashtami alav baravayu? This cotton, a cotton can't be makadosh anyone. So when he's telling her I'm leaving over for this cotton, you're still a eishes ish, that doesn't mean anything because anyways the cotton can't be makadosh her. But or we should say, don't look at now that he's a katan, look at the future. He will become a gadol, and then he would be able to marry her. And because he told her, besides this katan, so for later he won't be able to marry her. So it comes out that he is leaving over something here in this get, that she's not totally divorced. Amalei. So Nachman answered to Nisua. We learned this, and it says ketana mizgareshes b'kiddushe avia. A ketana, she got married, her father married her off, so she's 100% married. And now her father died. And she can accept her own get for herself to be divorced. So the question is, how could she accept her own get? How could she receive her own get? Amai, how is this? We know that when it comes to marriage and then divorce, we compare the two. So if it's her father that received the money for the kiddushin for her and married her, so when it comes to divorce her, shouldn't the father be the one that has to receive the get for her? And otherwise, we can't undo the kiddushin itself. And if the father is alive, the father does receive the kiddushin for her. So how is it that if the father passed away, she could receive her own get? Elo, we must say the reason that she could is because Asya leklalavoya, even though now she's a katana, but she's going to become a gedayla, she's going to come to the age where she'll be shayach to kiddushin, to marry herself off. So therefore, if the father is not here, she's able to take this get for herself, even though she's still a katana, but nevertheless, we don't look at her as a person that's not shayach to kiddushin. She's going to come to the age of kiddushin, so therefore even now she can accept her get already. So just like we see this regarding a katana, hachinami, we say the same thing regarding a katan, asya l'chlal havaya. That a katan, even though today he can't be mekadesh anyone, but he is going to come to the age that he's going to be able to marry, and therefore, if a person gives his wife a get and says, besides this katan, so then he's excluding something. He's leaving over a person that comes to kiddushin, so it's not a good divorce. Another shaila, similar shaila, the Gemara is going to ask a bunch of different questions. Chutz min an hoiladim. What's if the person tells his wife, you're divorced, but besides, here there's a woman that's pregnant, and he says, besides this child that's going to be born here. To him, you can't get married. So what's the halacha here? Is that something that he's leaving over or not? Do I say, that person that the husband is saying, besides him, he's not born yet. So it's not considered to be leaving over anything. In the world, b'payel, there's no one here that she's mutter to everyone. No, the husband's leaving out this child that's going to be born. So it is considered to be that he's saying that there's a leftover here in the issues regarding this child that's going to be born. Amalei, so he answered him to Nisua, this as well, we should be able to learn out from our Mishnah. What did it say in our Mishnah? If a husband says you're divorced, but besides le'eved aloyv dekachavim, for Eved Kanani or for a guy, you're not divorced. So the Mishnah said that that's not considered to be a leftover because the guy he's anyways completely not shaykh to the whole concept of kiddushin. So you're not leaving anything over. Now, if you're going to say that if a person says besides the child that's going to be born, that's considered that you are leaving something out here. So the same thing you should say by a Eved or Eved Kechavim. What happens if they convert, they become Yidden? So then, now she can't marry them when they are Shaykh to Kedushin. So says the Gemara, it's not the same thing. You can't compare a child that's going to be born to a guy that could become a Ger. Hanach, Lavli, Guri Kaimi. A guy is not destined, he's not standing there to become a Ger. It could happen, but it could not happen. But Hani is Yaludi Kaimi. Over here, there's a woman that's pregnant and she's going to give birth. So therefore, over here, if the husband leaves out this child that's going to be born, you could say that he is leaving out from the Gerishin. Another shaila, what's if the husband tells his wife, you mutter to everyone, chutz mi bala chaysa, besides the husband of your sister. Mahu, what's the halacha here? Now the husband of a sister, as long as the sister is alive, she's usher to marry that husband. The husband can't marry two sisters. But if the sister dies, then the husband is allowed to marry her. Okay, so the question is, do I say hashte mi'ele chazyele? Now you can't marry that person anyways, so therefore there's no chutz here. Oidilme zimnin de meisa chaysa. What happens if the sister would die, and now it comes out that this chutz that the husband said is significant. Now because of that chutz, he's leaving ishus that you can't go and marry him. V'chazyele, he's a person that otherwise would be fit for her to get married to him. So again, he wants to try to prove this from the case of our Mishnah. Tenisua, we could understand this from what it says in our Mishnah. If the husband says, I'm leaving out that you can't marry an Eved or a guy, so then it's not going to be a problem, because anyways, the Eved and the Eved nami avidi de megairi. So by Eved and it also is very possible that they may become a ger, And nevertheless, we say that you're not leaving it out because B'Poyel today, there's no Gatus yet. Same thing, if this husband is married to her sister, it's possible that the sister will die, but right now she's alive and the husband's married to her, so it's not considered to be leaving out anything.
It might come a point that she's going to have to marry him.
Again?
It might come a point that she's going to have to marry the brother.
But Yibum, but that would only be, even Yibum would only be possible if the sister would die.
Right.
Okay? So the Gemara says it's not the same thing. Because, I'm over here. Oh, so the Gemara answers not the same thing. Geitus leishchiche. For a guy to become a ger is not common at all. Misa shchiche, that the sister might die, that's definitely more common, that one sister may die before another sister, and now it'll be possible for you to marry that person. So over here, when the husband says, chutz from this husband that's married to your sister, so that's something that is some more shchiach, and it could be considered left out in the get. Another shaila was asked, chutz miznusayich. A person tells his wife, you're divorced and you mutter to everyone to get married to anyone you wish. However, chutz, you may not have a relation with someone b'derech znus, without kiddushin. If you're having a relation with someone b'derech znus, without proper marriage, for that you're still considered to be married to me, and you're still going to be an eshes ish. So Mahu, what is this? Is this considered that he's leaving out something here or not? Do I say b'nisuin, for her properly getting married, holy shire, he's leaving nothing out. He's telling her if you're getting married properly, you can get married to whoever you want. Or do I say, but he did leave over in a relation with someone else? There is this aspect that he's saying that if you have a relation without marriage, without proper marriage, for that you're still considered to be an eshes ish. So he left out something in the get.
Even if you wouldn't say the same thing.
That what? She's also to be Mizana anyways. No, but it's a big difference though. If she's Mizana when she's single, it's not the Issa of Eshes Ish. Eshes Ish is a completely different kind of Issa Yechayev Skila. He's telling her that regarding Znos, you're still going to be considered an Eshes Ish. So do I say that he's leaving out something here in the divorce?
It's less strict.
Yeah. Omalei. So the Gemara says to Nisua. We could learn this out from what it said in the Mishnah. First case in the Mishnah was he tells his wife you're divorced, but he says La'aba o la'avicha. Besides, for my father and you're my father, your father, for them you're not allowed to have any relation with. Now, b'mai, what was the Mishnah speaking about? Ilaim ben Nisuin, he was telling her that you may not marry my father or marry your father. That can't be because b'nei Nisuin is it b'chlal shaykh for the concept of Nisuin? There is no marriage that takes effect with them anyways. So that's not what he meant. El alav biznus. What he was telling her is that I'm divorcing you with the condition that you have no relation. Biznus with the father and my father, your father. So what do we understand from our Mishnah? So the Mishnah is telling you, if he made this condition, and it's specifically regarding znos, if it was regarding my father, your father, who do shire, then I say that he didn't leave anything out because she's anyways completely usher to my father or her father because of the erva that there is. So it's anyways a complete chi of kodesh over here. But hala acher. But in the same scenario where he told her you can marry whoever you want, and I'm only saying regarding znus that there's still an isser here of ishus. Shayir, for that it is considered to be that it's left over of the divorce and it's not a full gedushin. That's what we see from our Mishnah. Because the Mishnah, Gemara's understanding that was also only speaking about a case of znus here. Says the Gemara, not necessarily. Dilme benisuin, maybe when the Mishnah is saying that the husband said this condition that you're not allowed to get married to the father and mother, he meant marriage, not just znus. Benisuin. Now, what does this mean? The avar v'insiv. That they went and they were over. They went and got married. That she would go and get married to the father and the mother, father or his father or her father. Even though, of course, that nisuin doesn't take effect at all. But they went and got married anyways. That was what the condition was. But maybe if it was just a t'nai regarding znus and not a t'nai regarding nisuin as well, in such a case, that t'nai is not going to stop the gedushin of taking effect because with nisuin she can get married to whoever she wants. Another shaila, a person tells his wife she's divorced and she can get married to anybody. But he tells her, chutz mishaloi kedarka, she can get married to anyone, but the bia will be mutter only if it's the normal fashion of relation between husband and wife. But if it's shalei kedarka, if it's not the normal way, for that, there's still an isser of eshes ish that's in effect. Mahu. What's the halacha here? Do I say that b'kedarka holei shayir, in the regular fashion of relation between husband and wife, that he's saying you're totally mutter? So therefore the divorce takes effect. Or should I say, because he's saying that b'shaloi kedarka in an unusual way, then she's still considered to be an Eishes Ish, and the pasuk says mishkevei isha. When it talks about the Isser of Arayis, it says a plural term, mishkevei, which means that we compare any type of relation between husband and wife, whether it's normal, whether abnormal, either way we compare them, ksiv. So therefore, if he's saying that regarding shaloi kedarka, she's still an Eishes Ish, so then it's not a good divorce. Another shayla. Person tells his wife, chutz ma'afaris nederecha. You're totally divorced, you can get married to whoever you want, however you want, and so on. But regarding the halacha of hafaris nedarim, the husband is the one that annuls the wife's vows, for that, I'm still in control. Mahu. What's the halacha here? Do I say, b'nisuin halei shayir? Regarding her being divorced and not being an Eishes Ish, she can marry wherever she wants without any limitations. So he left nothing over. Or this limitation that he says that for Afaris Nedarim, he has control, so he's leaving over something of the issues here, because the pasuk says, Isha yikimenu v'isha yifirenu. It's the husband that establishes that her neder is a neder, and the husband is the one that nullifies it. So we see that it's a part of the issues. It's the marriage over here that holds it back. So if he's holding control to that, he's not fully releasing her in the issues. What if you told her, Chutz mitrum meisechel, that you divorce, you can go to and get married to anybody, but not regarding the halacha of truma, which means that if you're going to go and marry a kohen, and usually if you marry a kohen, you could eat truma, you belong to him now, you can kaspa, you can eat from his truma, but for truma, you're still mine. You can't eat his truma. Mahu, what's the halacha with this? Do I say b'nisuin holei shayit? Regarding marriage, she's totally free. She can marry whoever she wants. The reason you can eat truma from a kohen is because you married him and you belong to him. But over here, if this husband that's divorcing her, saying you won't be able to eat truma, that means that she can't become completely belonging to that new husband. So he's leaving over something over here to this original marriage. Or the last case here, the Gemara, here another two cases here, the Gemara asks a similar shaylas. If he tells her you're totally divorced for everything, but chutz miyirushasecha, besides inheriting, and for inheritance. So his wife he wants to inherit his wife still, or his ex-wife. So he says, but for your money, for your possessions, I'm still going to be the one that will inherit you, if she dies. So now, what's over here? Do I say b'nisuin holei shayir? Regarding marriage, he left nothing over. Oidilme l'she'eroi, by the nisuin, regarding Yerusha, the Torah uses the term she'eroi. That's that you yarshin v'yora shaisa. Then it says you yarshin her because she's your wife. So if that's what the pasuk says. So if he says I'm yarshining you, that means that for this she's still his wife. So he left over something of the original marriage. What if he told her chutz mikidushecha, that I'm divorcing you, but besides, if it's kiddushim b'shtar, you can get married to whoever you want. But if you're getting married to someone else, it has to be with kesef, not with shtar. It's one of the ways for kiddushin is with shtar. So he says you can't get married with shtar. Mahu. Whoever wants could marry her, and she can get married with kesef or even with bia. So therefore she's released totally. The pasuk says, iskish havayis la'adadi. We compare the different ways of marriage to each other. And so when it says v'haisa, it refers to any way of marriage. And in order for the gerushin, v'yatza, to take effect, she has to now be released to be able to get married to whoever she wants without any limitations at all. Teiku, these ibayis here remain a question. Sagt Heilige Mishnah. What?
After she said, you don't get, you can just mark that person though.
But that he was making a tanai though. He made a tanai that legabe this, you're still my wife. He's telling you, you're not my wife. You can get married to whoever you want, but for faris nadanim, you're still my wife. That's the shaila here. Do I say that it's leaving out and therefore it's not a get? So here finally the Mishnah comes to tell us what is the actual get itself. What's the actual nusach that you have to write in a get to divorce your wife? So Zakt Heilige Mishnah gufay shall get. The main words that you have to write in a get is Harei at muteres l'chol adam. You are mutter to get married to any person. That's the goof of the get. Rabbi Yehuda says that's not enough. You have to specify clearly that she's being divorced by this document that you're giving her. You have to add v'dein diyahavi leichi minoi. This that will be to you from me. Sefer Tiruchin is a document which will Tiruchin, which will cut you off from me. It's the exact translation to have for Tiruchin there.
Banishment,
Banishment, okay. V'get as shivukin, a letter to let you go, and v'get piturin, and a get of piturin. Also, these are three different lashonos that are saying here that she's completely divorced from him. Okay, some say that the reason why you write these three different expressions is because a husband has to give his wife three different things: she'er, ksus, and aina. It's the lashon of the pasuk. So he writes these three expressions. And then you have to continue writing lemahach. You can go lisnaspa to get married. L'chol gvar, any man, the titzavion that you wish. That's what you have to add into the get. Now the Mishnah says regarding when you write a shtar shichra for an evet kanani, when you free him, so he's also freed with a shtar. Gufish will get shichra. What do you have to write into the shtar? Harei at bas chayrin. You write into it you are free if you're giving it to a maidservant, so she's free. Or harei at latzmacha. You are for yourself, and that frees her. Zok the Gemara pshita. This is an obvious din. He tells his wife harei at bas chayrin, that you are free. This term of bas chayrin is nothing. To divorce a wife, she wasn't his eved or alma ivriya, that he should tell her that now she's free. So that's nothing. On the other hand, he tells his maidservant that he owns as a master. You're now allowed to go and marry whoever you wish. Also, he said nothing. But now the question is, he tells his wife, you are for yourself. Mahu. What's the halacha when you say this expression to a wife? Legamri kamala. This word le'atzmacha means that he's divorcing her properly and saying that you're completely for yourself to go get married to whoever you want. Or maybe he was only telling her regarding work, regarding her income, that she can keep it for herself, but he's not really divorcing her with this expression of latzmacha. Ravina answers Ravashi, we can learn that out from the Mishnah. Tashema, that now, what did our Mishnah say? Gufay shall get shichror. What is the lashon that you say in the shtar when you give a get shichror? Harei at bas chayrin, you are free, or harei at la'atzmacha, and you are for yourself. So the term of harei at la'atzmacha works by an eved. Now, ma avda. If this is so, when it comes to an eved, a kanile gufay, a person acquires his eved, a kinyan, much more than a wife. You own his very body itself, like an item. So ki amale harei at la'atzmacha kani. So nevertheless, when you say you are for yourself, this term la'atzmacha severs that connection and frees him, even though you own mamish's body. So gufe isha deloy kani gufa lekal shekain. So when it comes to the body of a wife, where a person doesn't own his wife to the same extent like he does an eved, for sure, if he says la'atzmacha lekal shekain, most definitely that's a term that's not just simply saying that she's free now for work, from malacha, but it's saying that she's completely for herself and she can get married to whoever she wants. Amalei Ravina asked Ravashi another shaila. Amalei la'avdei. If a person says to his slave, Einli eisik bach, I have no occupation with you. This term of Einli eisik bach, what does that mean? Is that properly freeing him or not? Amalei Rav Chanan Ravashi, so Rav Chanan answered Ravashi, or Vamri la Rav Chanan mechuzna. Ravashi came from the city of Chuzna. He answered Ravashi, Toshema, I'll prove it to you from the following brayse. The Tanya, we learned in a brayse, and we had this before in the Masechta, Hamoicher avdoi lo v'kechavim. Person that sells his slave to a guy, what happens is this slave, Chachamim gave a knas that this slave goes free automatically. And the reason is, when you sell Yevet Kanani, which is chayiv and mitzvahs to a guy, now being by a guy won't have the ability to fulfill his mitzvahs. So therefore, if you do such a thing, Chachamim say he goes free. But nevertheless, with Tzarech get shichr, even though you're not allowed to still use him as an eved anymore, but nevertheless, you still have to give him a get shichr, he should be fully free to be allowed to marry any yid. Mirabi Rishon from the first master. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel, so Rab Shimon ben Gamliel says about this, when does he need a get shikra to free him? Shlekos of olav oina. You didn't write him before a document of release, and the Gemara will describe in a second what that is. Avokos of olav oina, but if when he sold him to the guy, he already gave him a shtar, zeo shichrure. And so he'll be totally free. You don't have to write an additional shtar. Now, my oina, what is this shtar that you wrote him when you sold him to the guy? Rav Sheishes, the kos of lei, when he sold him to the guy, he wrote, L'kishativrach mimenu. When you run away from this guy, Eli Eisik Bach. You don't have to come back to me. I have nothing to do with you. So here in the Braisa we see that this expression of Ein Li Eisik Bach, I have nothing to do with you, I have no occupation with you, is a proper shtar to free a slave. So this could be by every single slave. So what did it say in our Mishnah? Rabbi Yehuda Omer.
So not disconnected from him, from goy, and from him.
No, even from him. That's what Reb Shimon Gamliel is saying. Once you wrote Enli Eisik Bach, so this slave is disconnected from the first master.
Only when he runs away.
Okay, and Hanami, true, but you have to write a proper star though. So this lashon of Enli Eisik Bach is considered to be a proper star to free an Eved. Rabbi Yehuda said in the Mishnah, you can't just write in a get, Hareh Mutaris L'chol Adam. You have to add. V'dein di yahavi leichim yinoi, sefer truchim, v'get shvukin. Here, this get itself is what's severing and cutting you off from me. Now, why do you have to add that? B'mai kamifligi, what's the argument here? Says the Gemara Rabbanan Savri, Rabbanan's opinion is, Yodayim she'ein meichichais. When you have a partial statement and you didn't complete it, you had this in the Gemara Nedarim and Nazir. So when you say a partial statement and now it's incomplete, that's what's called like a handle. You don't have the full thing itself, but you just have a beginning, she'ein meichichais, which is not conclusive. It's not proving 100% clear what you mean. We can understand what you mean, but it's not 100% clear. Havyin Yadayim. That's enough of a handle. It's enough of a statement that we can rely on that. And so therefore over here by the get, even if he doesn't write her clearly, Vidain, that here it's this get that's divorcing you, the Bahai Gittin Kamagadash. It's clear, he gives her a get, and it's written in it. We know that he means that she's becoming divorced by this document without writing it into it. But for Rabbi Yehuda says, Yadayim shemechichis lahavin Yadayim. That when you have a partial statement and it's something which is not clear enough, it doesn't prove conclusively that this is what it is, it's not a handle, it's not good enough of a statement. So therefore, the reason why she'll be divorced is the cause of law, because he writes into the get, V'dein, that it's this get that's divorcing you, the mucha milsa. Now it becomes clear, the Bahai Gittin Kamagadash law, that the divorce is coming into effect from this get. If he doesn't write, it's this document that's divorcing her, so then Amri, then you can say, Bidibura Gersha, that maybe he's divorcing her verbally, because he tells her, when you give a get, he also is telling her verbally. Maybe it looks like that really is the words that are divorcing her. The fact that he's giving a document, a get into her hands, he's just giving it to her to have as a proof for the fact that she got divorced, but the actual divorce is happening from the words. So therefore, Rabbi Yehuda says, it has to be 100% clear. You have to write into the get itself that it's the actual get that is the divorce. Amar Abaya. Here the Gemara gives you different halachas regarding the writing of the get. Haiman the cost of Gittin. When you write a get, lo lichta v'dein. That the word v'dein should not be spelled with a yud in it. This get. Why not? The mashma v'din. It could be read as v'din, which means din means a halacha. Din, not v'dein, and this get. Elu v'dein, write v'dein without that yud. And v'loy lichtaiv, now when it says that he's writing to her, that he's giving her this letter, igeres. He should not write igeres with a yud in it, the mashma igeres, because the word igeres could also be read as, or meant, igeres, which is a roof. So it wouldn't be referring here to this letter at all. So you should not write it with a yud. Eli igeres, write igeres without a yud, so then it will be clear that it means this bill of divorce, this letter. V'loy lichtaiv lim mehach. You should not write limahach, means that she can go and get married to whoever she wants. You should not write limahach with a yud in it, the mashma, because then it could be read as li mehach, that to me, that you're going to be mine because of mahach, because of this get here. So it's not a divorce. Adarab, he's saying that you're going to be mine. Be very careful when you write limahach, you write a hey. If you're going to write, be careful that the hey should not become a ches. Because machach, what does machach mean? The mashma ki chucha. It sounds like that. Chucha means it's just a joke. Now, when you write the words did tihavyon, did titzavyon, you have to write it tlasa yudin. You have to write it with 3 yuds in it. Because if not, if you're going to just write it tihavyon, so then the mashma tahavyon v'titzavyon. Otherwise, the word tahavyon v'titzavyon is mashma. If they will want, it's not talking about her. It's not going in her, but it's talking about a third party. It's talking about someone else. The tahavyon v'titzavyon, when you write it with 3 yuds, then it's clear that what you want, that it's going on this woman that he's divorcing right now. Another thing, when you write v'lorche levav the tiruchin, when you write the word tiruchin, that this is going to be your divorce, you have to make the vav in this word long. Or levav the shavukin, also the vav in the word shavukin, that you're going to be let go. You have to make that vav very long, so it should be clear that it's a vav. Because otherwise, if you mistake the vav for being a yud, the mashma trichin or shvikin, it could be read as trichin or shvikin, which does not mean your divorce, but it means a divorce, a noun. So it's not going on her; it could be going on someone else. It's not clear that it's talking about her divorce. Another thing, v'loircha levav de kedu. When you write in the get in kedu, which was not actually quoted in our Mishnah, this word kedu. If you look here at Rashi, in the Rashi the mashma, he brings the whole nusach of the get. So when you write to her, kedu padoris or shavakis, and now you're going to be divorced. So the word kedu has to be written. It has to be written with a long vav, because otherwise, if you mistake it for a yud, the mashma or kedi. The word kedi could mean nothing. So it's you don't want it to look like that. Another thing, when you're writing to her that she can get married to whoever she wants, don't spell isna sava with an aleph in it. The mashma lo yisna sava, because then it could be read lo yisna sava, that she cannot get married to whoever she wants. Elo lehisna sava, write it with a hey, then it's clear that it means she can get married to whoever she wants. The Gemara finishes off here with the following shaila: Be'inon v'dein, Eloi binan v'dein. Do we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda? Do you have to write into the get this line to make it clear that it's this get that's divorcing her or not? Tashema, the Gemara says we can learn out from the Askin Rava. Rava instituted additional language that you have to write into a get. Gittin, regarding a get, you have to write Eich planya bar planya, that so and so pata v'torach yes planisa is divorcing this this wife of here. To have intase that was his wife min kodam dina in front of the bezdin miyoyim denon from this day ula olam and forever. That's what Rava said. You have to add this nusach, this additional words into the get. But vilu v'dein loy kama. Rava did not say this line that Rabbi Yehuda said that you have to write that it's this get that's divorcing her. He didn't mention that. Says the Gemara, there's no proof from this. According to your reasoning, kulu mikama. In the version that the Rava here was saying that Rava instituted, does he say the entire nusach of the get? There's other things that Rava left out as well. Ella, says the Gemara, bina. You do have to write in the v'dein. The Rava didn't mention everything. Hachanami b'inan. So you have to write the whole version of the get. The Rava just was adding what he added, but you for sure have to write the whole entire thing of the get. Just learn two more lines here. The Gemara explains the details that Rava added. Why did the Rava add those details? Miyoyim denon. Rava says you have to say that she's divorced from today. Why do you have to emphasize from today? Afukim with Rabbi Yosi, this excludes from Rabbi Yosi's opinion. The Amar Zman shel shtar mechiyah chalav. Rabbi Yosi holds that once you have a date on the get, so the date itself says that it's from today. So we don't want to rely on that opinion of Rabbi Yosi, so we don't rely on the date, but you have to write clearly that she's actually divorced from today. And then when you add in Ula Olam, she's divorced forever. Why do you have to add that in? Lafuki, that's to exclude Midabai Menei Rav Nachman from a mistake that could come from what we asked. Rav asked Rav Nachman was brought before in the Gemara. The Amar, person that says Hayomi at Ishti, today you're divorced, you're not my wife, but Ulamachar at Ishti. But tomorrow you are my wife. Is that good or not good? So the emphasis the Gemara before concluded that it's okay. The moment she's not his wife for today, so it's all over. But in order for it to be perfect, we don't want anybody to come and say that there's a problem with this get, so you add the word la'olam, that she's divorced forever.